Well, the man accused of killing Father Rene Robert is being held without bond in the Burke County Jail that's in Georgia. A Superior Court judge could set bond for Stephen Murray at a later time. Well, he was quiet during the hearing Wednesday, but afterwards he made comments that could seriously change the future of this case. Listen.
Very sorry, and if anybody really loves Father Rene, they'll forgive me because he was a man of God, and forgiveness is forgiveness.
What happened? You were in his car.
I had mental problems, and I lost control of myself, and I apologize.
Mr. Murray, what did you do?
Forgive me.
So joining me now to discuss the implication of those comments by Stephen Murray is local attorney Rhonda Peoples-Waters. She's not connected to the case. I really don't know what to say. When he was in the courtroom in Aiken County, I was there. That's when he, said to the judge, "Let's ride." And I'm thinking, what is this guy saying right now? And then he turns to the camera, smiles, waves. How do you explain this? Is this possibly setting up something for his defense that we don't know about, or do you think there's actually something going on here?
Well, certainly his statements are an admission, but they also are a defense. And they talk about, possibly a mental insanity defense that he could pursue. And the court definitely will have to go through that process of determining, was he insane at the time that he committed this offense? Did he understand the difference between right and wrong? That means quite a few, psychological examinations and all of that.
So when it comes to that process, are those, what happened on camera in Aiken and there, will jurors see that and take that into consideration, or is that something that's going to be suppressed?
Well, it's a possibility that the state may want to introduce it as evidence. So it could possibly come out as evidence from the state or the defense to say that this was an admission. But the defense could also argue, listen, he told you he lost control. And obviously, that would set up why he made these actions that resulted in the death.
Okay, so as an attorney from both sides, we heard what he was saying, especially, right before he got to the car. How do you deal with that?
Well, again, it depends on the circumstances of the murder and, all of these facts that are to come to establish, did he have the intent at the time to kill, or was it, an insanity defense? They're going to look into his past history to see if he had any past, recorded mental health issues.
Okay, now I have to ask you this because we got a lot of people who feel very strongly about this case. Now, for something that may seem to be open and shut, that this is just going to go one way, but it could change. What can we expect to see as this unfolds?
Well, it could mean the difference between life and death in this circumstance, because the death penalty may be avoided if they can establish that there was some mental health illness. It's great mitigation in his defense and may be part of a plea negotiation. So it certainly can be important.
Okay, now speaking of this guy's past, I guess total, he had 8 arrests, but this was sort of the first violent one in his past. How much consideration is going to be given to that when it comes time for sentencing or anything else?
Well, it's very important that this is the first violent offense that he's had. And I know that there were interviews of his girlfriend. There are going to be interviews of his family to see, how can we establish whether there was really a record of mental health illness or not. And that'll make the determination as to how the case may be resolved.
Yeah. Mrs. Peoples-Waters, thank you very much for joining us this morning and waking up. So, of course, you can always find the latest in Stephen Murray's case and the death of Father Rene on News4Jax.com. Ashley, Rebecca,